Welcome to Shortys Supercoach and welcome to my press conference. And it was another impressive week at Shortys Superstars over the weekend. 2,238, which was in the top 4%, and I'm knocking on the door of the top 20,000. I move into the top 10%, which is good, moving up about 6,000 places. And won 7 of my 9 leagues. One of those 2 non-wins was a draw. And yes, the loss was actually the SuperCoach HQ league, which I'll touch on later in the piece. As you can see, got the 200,000 there in the bank, which should prove handy, definitely this week. As we move along to my side, and it was pretty consistent really. I mean, taking a look at that back line, it's a picture of consistency. I mean, Rich was the lowest one with 75 there. Sure fell back to the pace, but he was reasonable, had a few turnovers, but 81 is more than respectable as a defender. I'm sure he'll bounce back. And look, most of them, while he didn't crack 3 figures aside from Bartel, I'll take that from Birchall, certainly from Adams. And Simpson, I thought, played well, and I almost thought he'd score a little bit better in the midfield. Starting to get there. I mean, Ablett was back to some of his best footy, 143. That's exactly why I've kept him. I told most people to keep him. I mean, there were stages where people would ask, trade out Gaz sort of thing. I was quite confident he can return to form like this, and I expect him to continue to play great footy. So hopefully out there everyone has kept him. Pendlebury and Shield, I went the loophole there, and they both scored the exact same thing. So I obviously just stuck with Pendlebury as my pure captain, and he turned out exactly the same as Shield, which was not too bad. Kerridge, not too bad. Smith I was happy with. Kerridge is probably getting close to the chop now. I think he'll struggle to get to 400,000. His break-even's around 60. I mean, he's going well. I mean, you can't argue that. He's a very good scorer, and I thought he played a pretty good game, actually, against the Cats. So, pretty decent. Libba, again, I didn't see the opening quarter or so, but he must have turned it over a little bit because he had 31 touches and a stack of tackles and only scored 89, so that was interesting. But Ollie Wines, stamp the papers, mate. You're done. I'm sick of Ollie. He's been frustrating me so much, and I think last week I said it's Liberatore or it's Wines for that sort of Dangerfield, real sort of sub-premium to genuine premium trade, which I know it's a little bit sideways, but it's probably something I'm going to have to do because I want to bring in Parker, I want to bring in Gray, I want to bring in Selwood, and even Rockcliffe will be tempting. You can't have 11 premium mids, you'll be struggling to have 10. So to bring in Dangerfield, you're going to struggle to go sort of George Hewitt to Dangerfield. So I think a bloke like Wines or Libba around that 400, 500 mark is going to make that easier. And unfortunately, it is Wines this week because he was just super disappointing. I listened to it and I thought he was playing all right. I mean, he got involved a fair bit, and then I looked at his stats. Normally, the query on him is clangers and more so disposal efficiency. You can still score decent scores with clangers if you have effective touches as well. Now, he had 22. I was concerned when 17 of those were handballs, but I thought, okay, bit of the inside job, plenty of work inside. Only, I think, 8 were contested, but he went at 91%. And I think he had 4 clangers, and I thought, alright, a few handballs, but surely about 85, 90. 62, so unbelievable. I don't know how he's going to score good points because he just seems out of whack. When he finds the footy, he turns it over. When he doesn't find much of it, he uses it well, but he handballs it too much. So, frustrating. I really like Wines, and I really enjoyed the pick of him early in the season, but unfortunately, push has come to shove, and he's going to have to make way for probably Paddy Dangerfield or Robbie Gray this week, depending on break-evens and available money. So, moving on to the rucks. Again, they bounce back. Gawn, I hope a few people listened to me when I said put the VC on him. I personally wish I listened to myself as well. I thought he was probably in too poor a form to really produce something, but he is an absolute roller coaster, and a lot of people would enjoy double points on his 167. Nat Nui was impressive again, keeps up that very good average. Dustin Martin scored 111 and led the way for what was a pretty impressive forward line. Of course, Aaron Hall and Petrarca struggled a little bit there, but Hall went off early in the match and his second half was pretty good. I don't think he used the ball overly well. He had a pretty handy dream team score, but of course, worked up a reasonable amount of those points and possessions when the game was done, which wouldn't have helped him at all. Montagna had a really good start to the game, faded out of it slightly, but 95's not too bad. Franklin, again, continues to be ultra consistent, which isn't what he normally does, but he's having a very consistent season. And Delidio came in and scored me 107 points, and I thought he was very impressive. Now, I do want to raise my main problem. I'm pretty happy with what's happening on the field. I'm looking ahead. I can really see the likes of Parker, who's going to drop extremely again, as will Selwood. Robbie Gray I can see coming to my side. Jared McVeigh's potential. Alec Rance I like. There's quite a few guys. I mean, Luke Dalhouse, he's continuing to be very consistent, so it'll be hard to get him in. But there's a lot of guys I can see coming into my side. But my main problem is this bench. If you look at the scores, 46, 59, 63, 49, 56, 58. Now, that's not great at all. I mean, Petrarch on the field, 51. Kerridge, 68. Smith was good with 78. But look, they're starting to really all come to a grinding halt all at once. Marcus Adams should continue to hopefully work his way up to about 370, 380. But Mitch Brown had a price drop, which was disappointing. I took a bit of a gamble with him. Probably should have kept Burn-Jones in hindsight, but you know that's just how it rolls. I think I'll trade him out this week. Now, Hewitt still has a pretty nice break-even, but otherwise, Keys, Alice, Hunt, and Petrarca to a lesser extent. I think he's a very good player, and I think he has great scoring ability, but they are starting to really come to a halt. Now, Keys obviously has a bit of price to still be going up, but those two in the forward line, Alice and Hunt, really have break-evens around that 50 or 60, and Hunt in particular is sort of coming to a grinding halt. As you can see, there's about 100,000 between them anyway. Alice has done his job. I mean, I've been very happy with him, so he'll probably be culled soon enough, having done his job. But I really need, and I'm sure like others, those blokes like Keys, perhaps Matheson, Hunt, to really get some good scores happening. Just to give that second launch into their price, you know, pump out an 80 or 90, just to give that extra 20 or 30,000. It can be absolutely crucial. So I'm hoping to get that. At the moment, it's probably the only thing stopping me. I don't have any guys who are really booming from sort of 100,000 mark to, you know, looking like they're going to skyrocket. So that'll be interesting how that plays out. Collins, of course, is a little while from going up in price. I'm probably going to miss the Matheson boat. He's not averaging great numbers, but at the moment I think my trade plans look as though I probably won't bring him in. Now, that'll be interesting how that all pans out, but we'll have to wait and see. It's very hard to predict what rookies score, so, you know, it's very difficult to say how much money I'd have in 3 weeks, but at the moment it's not looking as bright as I would like, so I'm really going to have to make the most out of, you know, probably a guy like Marcus Adams, who is clearly the big achiever there with a lot of cash next to his name, and, you know, he's made heaps of money. Him and Kerridge are probably two that I'm going to really have to utilise and, squeeze out as much as I can to get the most benefit. So we'll see how we go there. Moving on to the SuperCoach HQ League. As I said, it was my only loss. I had a draw as well in one of my other leagues, in the Fan Footy Silver League, which was very interesting. I only lost by 19 points, which is disappointing, but it's a pretty strong league. I mean, while I had a score in the top 4%, I think there were, you know, multiple scores ahead of me. Just having a look, I can see at least 5, I think. So, yeah, you know, pretty strong league. I fall back to 6th at 4 and 3 and a draw. Now, obviously that draw, as you can see, I mean, I'm still a game behind Garlic's best 22 there. We had the draw, of course, which puts us on level points, and I do have a better percentage than him, which will possibly become helpful. So, yeah, not too far off the pace. You know, the percentage didn't cop too much, given I only lost by 19 points, but, you know, a very close loss. We'll just see how we go. I think looking to be there and abouts for sure. The buys will come up quicker than we all expect. They're not too far away now, so potentially we can start to turn a bit of attention towards them. But just a quick one on the buys. I wouldn't expect people to really have too much of a focus on the buys when trading. I don't think you should control certain trades just on a buy structure. I really think you're looking for the best 22 that you can produce come year's end, not necessarily just to help you through with the buys. You really should just be focusing on beefing up that side as much as possible. And, you know, if you do that, I really think you'd be unlucky to cop zeros through the buys. If you have been doing what you should be doing as a super coach and producing depth, upgrading plenty, you should by the buys have probably 19 or 20 blokes that you classify as a premium in your side, and you should have plenty of depth on the bench if you've been downgrading correctly. So, you know, there'll be stages. I know Gawn and Nick Nat share a buy. That may be difficult for some because there's an automatic 2 zeros and probably no backup on the bench there. But otherwise, I really think most people should get by them, no dramas. And you shouldn't be trading, you know, you shouldn't be looking at a player going, oh, he's got a round 14 buy versus this. Just pick the best player, so don't overcomplicate it, I don't think, because, you know, you really should have coverage no matter what, and you don't want to sacrifice, you know, 1 week for the grade of the whole season. You definitely want to have a foresight to, you know, the rounds after that, the 8 or 9 rounds after, to produce good scores continuously, not just for 1 week. So that's my press conference for the week. It's been another good one for Shorty. We're starting to really get flowing, and again, those trades keep coming. I know I'm burning a few, but I'm going pretty hard here in the hope that I can avoid injuries. Bit of a risk, but we'll see how we go. But at the moment, it's going along pretty nicely. So thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more SuperCoach news and videos later in the week. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and as always, feel free to subscribe to my channel for plenty of SuperCoach content coming your way.